Be sure to check out Nesson's daily sports podcast, Boston Has Entered the Chat. You can listen on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to your podcasts. What is up? I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck here with the sports case, Kasey Hudson, for Respect Her Game today. We have a very fun show for you today. We have a lot of women's hoops. We're previewing LSU, Oklahoma. We got some WNBA, big surprising moves within the league. We'll also recap the Super Bowl. We have a Girl on Fire segment, so it's going to be very fun, this show today. But Kasey, first, how was your weekend?
Oh my gosh, it was good. I'm finally settled in. So this weekend was me kind of just venturing out and seeing parts of Boston. I got to go grab dinner with my friend Lucy. I checked out Eva's, I want to call it, Mediterranean restaurant. Really cool, great food, great wine and stuff. So it was nice to discover other parts of Boston and kind of start getting used to my new home.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And was Lily your friend, a friend that you knew who had been in Boston?
Yes, yeah. Lucy's been in Boston for a while. We worked together at another company previously. So it was so nice because when I realized that I was getting situated here, like she was one of the first people that I reached out to. And I'm like, all right, I'm coming to your backyard. Because beforehand, a couple years ago, I was like, okay, I'm ready to venture out. And she just kept telling me, come to Boston, come to Boston, come to Boston. So now between her and another friend that I have that works with the Patriots, I was like, it happened. So there's a bunch of things on my list that I have to discover, all of the different suburbs, all of the different things that make Boston, Boston. But this weekend was a nice start. So I was psyched about that. But I think you had more of an exciting weekend besides being an adventurer.
No, that's good. Listen, you got to check out the city. But I did. I had a big weekend. I had my Boston College women's lacrosse ring ceremony, but it really just felt like a reunion with all my teammates. It was really incredible. We got our national championship rings from this past season as well as ACC championship rings, which was just incredible. And we got to do this really fun opening ceremony before all our parents and alumni and friends showed up, and they had incredible decorations, incredible food. It was so fun. And it's funny because you see all your teammates always, in cleats and in goggles and your hair is always in a ponytail, but these very few opportunities to dress up with your friends is really fun. And for a lot of the girls that I graduated with, I hadn't seen them since literally like the national championship.
Way.
Just because you go into summer, everyone is starting their jobs. A lot of people are in New York and working long hours, so it was a really fun time getting to see not only my teammates but my sister Mallory. She's a senior on the team. Okay. So very fun weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But it's funny that you talk about like just seeing your teammates always in that cleats uniform, sweats form. Like what was your dress? I remember us talking about that briefly.
Thank you.
And getting ready for all that.
It's funny you asked because we did have a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction. Plan A didn't work, which is fine. That's why I had my goalie from college, Maddie Manahan. She was at my house getting ready with me, and we had to make a quick adjustment. In those situations, before you leave and you have a wardrobe malfunction, you don't have time to panic, right? So thankfully I had my teammate there. Maddie Manahan is the girl that gets things done on the team. If anything went awry, she was the girl. So I'm so glad out of everybody I had her with me, and I ended up working out. I wore a light pink dress.
Beautiful.
It was very fun. The heels, those were hard. Those were hard to last the whole night. My teammates were very smart and they brought sneakers. But yeah, an incredible night. It was at Big Night Live. I think there was a Bruins game earlier in the day. Wow. So a lot of energy. I know you got your Boston Bruins gear already on.
I know. I've officially committed. I'm going to have a lot of friends at home that are going to have a voice on this one. But I will say my best friend, it was a welcome to Boston hat from her. She knows that I love a good hat game. Look, when it's time to dismiss the dry shampoo in your life, you can't go wrong with a good baseball cap, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm getting used to everything. The good thing about Boston and the Bruins and all of the sports here is, Eastern Conference. I grew up in Tampa Bay, so I'm so familiar with the teams. So loving them and hating them from a distance, now that all changes where I can appreciate and love them entirely for all the things that I've previously been like, why do you have to be good at that?
Yes.
Why do those players have to show up in those moments? So it makes it even more exciting. But what's something that you miss about lacrosse? Because I know you're not too far removed from it. And everything you just graduated in May. You're celebrating the national championship. Have you felt that weird separation from I was just doing college athlete stuff to now full time and broadcasting?
I did not think that I would realize it as much as I have, for sure. I think the biggest difference for me is that probably that feeling of competition daily and just that physical grind. Like right now in this line of work, it's a lot more mental than like the physicalness of playing lacrosse. But I also think just being surrounded by your teammates at all moments of the day, right? You go to class together, you go to the dining hall together, you go to practice, lift, treatment, all the things. So that was really cool just to be surrounded by them again. But it is fun to see like what my teammates are all doing in their different lines of work and kind of how everybody, their personality really shines through, whether they're on the field playing lacrosse or they're working in finance in New York City, right? Like you can still see it's the same human. And just in the ways too that lacrosse has really prepared me for life outside of school, I think is incredible. And to be able to see that through my coaches too and say, wow, man, like look how you prepared me for certain things. But yeah, it definitely is an interesting transition for sure. Somebody asked me while we were there at the ring ceremony, they're like, Annabelle, like when was the last time you benched your trap bar? And I was like, well, not once. And I was like, maybe I'll start doing some chin-ups like here and there, but you will not find me trap barring anytime soon.
Oh my gosh. No, there's certain things that you want to get rid of. What did we have in soccer? It was like a firehouse drill. And my best friend hurt her neck doing it. And I was like, there's certain things that I never want to see again. Just keep it out of the realm of working out. Yes. But you do miss the compete. There was a weird transition that I had coming out of like putting away my soccer cleats, and it was like I needed to turn everything into a competition. So working out got really popular then, because when I was in high school, your workout was your sport. Nowadays, like you're working on your body starting like middle school and high school. So I got like addicted to that, and then it was like, okay, what adult leagues can I get in? But I was that compete just gets a little too crazy.
Did you do any adult leagues?
I wanted to do adult soccer, but like with a broadcasting schedule, it just didn't fit. Like that was prime time for me because it's football and hockey that dominates my life. Hockey taking off in October, things getting sweeter in football in October. So like the soccer schedule just did not add up. But I was talking to Justine about it yesterday. I was like, maybe now that I'm situated in a new town, what better way to get plugged in?
Yeah.
So we'll see if I can calm it down.
Well, let me know. I think that'd be kind of fun. I need to join a league. My mom, it's so funny you say that because literally last night my mom said to me, she was like, hey, like, because she's seeing all this stuff about the Women's Pro League, new Lacrosse Pro League, and we had a documentary come out from our Boston College lacrosse team. So I think that's why it kind of came up. And she's like, why aren't you playing pro women's lacrosse? And I was like, Mom,
please.
like I don't know. I didn't get drafted. Like, I don't know. I'm not playing. But I definitely do want to involve myself in some type of competition sport. So if you have a rec league, please let us know. We'd love to join. Well, other women who are actually in the middle of their season right now, LSU and Oklahoma. Number 7 LSU will host number 13 Oklahoma in a huge matchup tonight in Baton Rouge. This game could have some serious consequences for the March Madness bracket. LSU just put up a great fight to South Carolina. They held them to 66 points on their home court. Weren't able to come up with the win, but they bounced back against Georgia, and they're still sitting at 21-1, right? They've only lost one game, which is pretty incredible. They played 3 ranked opponents. Opposed to, though, number 13 Oklahoma, who's played like 6 ranked opponents. And Kim Mulkey even said it herself when she was talking about Oklahoma this week. She said, this is a very, very, very good Oklahoma team. I was like, man, she just used 3 varies to describe this Oklahoma team. But that's what they are. They only lost to number 5 Texas by 7 points. They're very dangerous in transition. And they're one of the top teams Oklahoma currently holds the second quickest pace of play in the country for 81.1 possessions per game, which is exactly what I saw when they were playing South Carolina themselves. It was straight down the court, corner 3, just no hesitation after getting scored on. So super excited for this matchup. Kasey, what are you excited to see?
Oh my gosh, I'm very excited because you mentioned it. Like this can infiltrate how the bracketology starts to play out and formulate. And more importantly, heading into this matchup, you have LSU that's kind of sitting and hanging out that number 2 seed group possibility. And then you got Oklahoma sitting at that number 4 seed group possibility. With LSU only dropping 1 game versus South Carolina that sits at the top of the charts right now, if there's one thing we know about March Madness, it's the team that doesn't have the sexiest approach to March Madness. So that one loss, a lot of people might think it plays favorably for LSU, but having 5 losses, having that adversity, having those moments where you have to figure out how to win, that's what carries you through March Madness. So Oklahoma can be a very dangerous team in that sense. But you mentioned the fast-paced offense, especially being ranked number 2 in the country for Oklahoma. This is going to be interesting to see how they can match and push the pace for LSU, because LSU is pretty quick as well. But what you're going to see here is you're going to see a battle for control. Which team can force the other team to play their game, to play at their pace and completely manipulate the situation. And that's where it's going to be interesting to see how Oklahoma does that. But I've got some players for LSU that I think can change the scope. And
all right, let's hear them. I'd love to know.
when it comes to pace, when it comes to making this a close game, an edgy game, a wild game, it's going to be Michaela Williams for me, because something that I've noticed is that her field goal percentage has dropped off a little bit, and that's actually been one of her strong suits. If you guys have tracked her career, a dominant freshman year last year, she kind of checks all the boxes for being a strong offensive as well as defensive player, but more importantly, that field goal percentage has come in clutch for LSU in a number of situations. So when you have those players that have that, all right, it's time to bounce back, almost that revenge theme to their game, they're really dangerous, and Oklahoma actually defensively ranks 20th when defending field goal percentage. So if that's their weak point and you've got a player that's looking to get back in a strong column with that, it's going to make this game pretty wild and pretty interesting.
That's true. And it also makes sense, too, with Kim Mulkey and her championship experience and her playing those big games with superstars, right? Just in college basketball itself, she knows, okay, what are the X's and O's that really matter, right? Like, yes, we need to lock down certain people and we need to hit certain shots and those things, but also the transition game, like you said, how do we stop it? What's going to be important for us to practice now before March Madness even starts, so that when that time comes, we know what we really need to lean into, because we've been practicing it maybe when it wasn't even a thing on our scouting report. We've been preparing for it before it even started. But I have to give you my Oklahoma girl for you. Reagan Beers, she's the transfer from Oregon State. She actually had the opportunity to go to either Oklahoma or UConn, which is pretty amazing, obviously, especially with the caliber that UConn, right? And so when I found that out, I'm like, man, like, why would you not go to UConn if you had the opportunity, right? It just seems like that would be a no-brainer. But Reagan really believed in the coaching staff at Oklahoma. She is from Colorado, so that was a huge factor for her, being closer to home so her family could come watch. And she saw that she could maybe do it with this team. There would be an opportunity there. She's one of their leading scorers. She had 13 points, 11 rebounds in their last game against Georgia. But she also put up 23 points against South Carolina, which is just so impressive. Earlier this week, Kim Mulkey said, the newcomer of the year in Reagan Beers, and that's how she was really, singing her praises in a sense. But what I also really love about this girl is that she's not just a fierce competitor on the court. She's a very crafty and creative girl off the court. She made something really cool for her teammates. Check it out right here.
All right, so some of you know this, but some of you don't. Ever since the summertime, I've been making blankets, and I love doing it. And so I made each of you guys a blanket for Christmas. Name tags on them.
It's a little cat. It's Rocket! It's Rocket!
Look at me, Christmas guys!
So fun. I've never had a teammate make me a blanket. I don't know. Have you? Has anyone ever made you a blanket?
No. I mean, again, I always try to age myself on this show with you, Annabelle, but for us, it was the bracelets. So, I mean, like, I had teammates that were able to make some really sick jewelry, but
That's
never
so
a blanket.
nice.
And, like, I'm watching the video and I'm like, this looks like Home Goods.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if y'all have Home Goods up here, but we pay great money.
We do.
for
Don't
Home
worry.
Goods.
I'll
Okay.
tell you all the spots I've been way too many times.
Like, there's a number of things where I'm like, is it up north or is it just a southern thing? But no, we were bracelet gals, bracelets and anklets, and then we always had to cut off the anklets beforehand because that under our shin guards for our cleats, it was just like madness.
They could tell that you had the anklet on under the shin guards?
Well, sometimes you would just feel it rubbing under your
yeah.
shin guard. Yeah. And like I was on the shorter side for soccer. I'm 5'1" on a really, really good day. So when I would be going up against taller girls and stuff like that, or like slide tackles, the first thing I would feel is the anklet under my shin guard. And it'd be
Beauty is pain, Kasey. Come on, man.
Right. We still try to make statements in our
Yes.
uniforms, but sometimes you're like, okay, I should have just came out here normal. But no blankets. I would have been hype if one of them made a blanket because those looked absolutely beautiful. Like you need a good throw blanket for the couch and for the bedroom. So Reagan, we'll take any of your blankets anytime.
Yeah,
girl,
Reagan,
please.
send them to us. And what's so crazy is I was sharing this with you earlier, but I actually got to interview Reagan on Sports Spectrum. It hasn't come out yet, but she was telling me, it was right around Christmas time, she was telling me that, I'm making these, blankets for my team, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, you're making a blanket for a team. That kind of went over my head. And then this video went viral after she gifted them to her entire team and other things for her coaches as well. I was like, man, she actually did this. She was actually doing that.
So
it's pretty
good.
wild.
Did she mention how long it takes? Because I'm thinking in season, like making something that big.
It was a sped up video. It definitely took a long time.
Oh my gosh, that's where I would have unfortunately been like, I love you guys. It's next year's Christmas present, because it would take me so much time to get these blankets unraveling. But you mentioned creativity all with the blankets, and the fact that I think she's a really creative player on the court as well. So just another sneaky element for this Oklahoma team.
It definitely is. And also to the fact of like when you come in and you're one of the new transfers, she's one of the only new people on the team. Like this is a very similar team to last year. And so it does also show, I bet this wasn't her one motive for making the blankets, but you do have to put in effort to meet your teammates, get to know them, show them that, hey, I care about you as a person, not just as a player, for you to be able to have those bonds on the court. And, practice gets chippy. You're going up against the same people every single day. Basketball, there's only so many girls on the court, right? And so it's important for her to also show her teammates, hey, like, I might be the new face in this locker room, but I am putting in the time and the effort to invest in you guys, not as just players, but as people.
Yeah, and then it also says, like, how much she wants to be there. And I think that the big scope of it is choosing Oklahoma over UConn. I think it speaks volume to not only the coaching staff, but the other girls on the roster that are going to help her alongside her career and vice versa. Chemistry is everything for a winning team. So Oklahoma's got a lot of good parts working in their favor, which makes this game even more exciting. And we'll see how it continues to mold the March Madness bracket before we get to March.
I'm excited. Well, huge matchup, LSU, Oklahoma tonight. Catch it. Do not miss this awesome, exciting game. And if you're enjoying the show, you can catch new episodes of Respect Her Game every Thursday. You can watch on YouTube, Twitch, and listen on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, well, we got more news in women's hoops this week. Some surprising trades and shifts from the WNBA. 3 big moves. And we'll start with Brittney Griner, not a name that people were expecting to see. She's leaving the Phoenix Mercury after 11 seasons and going to the Atlanta Dream on a 1-year deal. Here is what she had to say in her very creative announcement.
We are out fishing right now. We got Jordan Canada.
What's up?
Ryan Howard. Alicia Gray. Right here. Boom, boom. Well, I actually messed up on my intro. I need to introduce my new teammates because I will be joining the Atlanta Dream. Yo! Let's get it! Hey, let's get this, right? Let's get it. Let's do this, okay?
See, now I'm hyped. Now I'm really going to
Yeah. Let them see it. Dream, baby.
So free agency has been everything I wanted it to be. Honestly, I was able to find where I wanted to go. And honestly, what led me to that decision ultimately was the team, the players, as individuals, and then also like my family. So, I mean, I'm thrilled for this chapter. It's my first time going into free agency. And it was cool, it's a hard decision because, you're leaving what you know, what I've known for my whole career. But there's an exciting factor of like, okay, like this is like a rebrand now. Like this is like, I get to show them like something different.
All right, that's a wrap on BG Outside the Lines. I want to thank my teammates for being here, making this day special for me. Damn it. Thank you. Yeah, outside the paint.
Kasey, what did you think of that announcement?
Oh my gosh. Well, for one, I think that when you're making such a huge leap, leaving a team that you've been a part of for 11 seasons, and like she said, leaving your comfort zone, it felt so peaceful. It felt so calm. It felt so like she felt whole about the decision that she made, because you see a number of athletes that when they make those jumps, you can still kind of see that reservation or that processing, that acclimation period, and she seems very much already in it. So she's got some chemistry with some of the girls on that team, which is going to make it that much better. Friendship wise, I'm sure she's hyped to be playing with Ryan Howard, so there's just so many great elements to it. But I think that the announcement, I mean, how creative. You're on a boat, and at first when it started happening, I'm looking at the logo very closely because I was like, what are they wearing? And then that's when she she was like, oh, I messed up my intro.
Yes.
So I thought that was fun in that sense. But what did you think about it?
No, I thought the exact same thing. And I've definitely been in situations before when maybe I'm like taping an announcement video and I do it the backwards way because I'm so excited to get just like right to the point, right? I bet that's what happened. They're like, wait, we didn't even do like the
really
anticipation and the build up to these are my new teammates, you know, the whole thing. So I thought it was super creative. I thought it was a fun way to do it. And I do love when people are able to give that like human
yes.
announcement and rather than those like graphics that you see like breaking news, which those are important, those are great, but I think it is really cool to hear from the athlete themselves. So this was very creative and it gives, you know, opens the door for other women to do the same thing, but kind of a shocking move because Atlanta is not this really powerhouse team. And so I think a lot of people are like, that's really interesting, but like she said, she's looking for this revamp, right? And so, you know, maybe even with the timing of Diana Taurasi and potentially retiring, maybe she's like, you know what, maybe this is my time, new era, go somewhere else. But maybe she can bring some dunks to Atlanta. We will see. I'm super excited about that. But the Mercury might have lost Brittney, but they also picked up all-star Alyssa Thomas. She's leaving the Connecticut Sun after spending her entire 10-year career in Connecticut, which is just incredible to think about the amount of time that both these women have spent at their organizations. The Sun are getting 3 players from this trade with Alyssa Thomas and Ty Harris, Natasha Cloud, Rebecca Allen, and the number 12 overall pick. Thompson is one of the players during the Valkyries expansion draft that we were all saying, oh no, she's good, she won't be leaving the Sun. And so it's just funny now to see her in this position headed somewhere else. So what are your thoughts on this move?
I'm not too surprised by this move because a lot changed as soon as the season came to a close for the Connecticut Sun. You know, coaching and what the system was going to look like and what this roster needed to get over the hump. Because to be honest, one of the biggest things that I recall from the end of the WNBA regular season heading into the postseason as listed and favorably, the Connecticut Sun were supposed to be that sneaky team that could potentially outmatch and surpass the Aces or the Liberty. I mean, everyone was rooting for the Liberty to pick up that championship, but the Connecticut Sun was the team in the shadows that could have overcome it. So they had so many elements to their play, a balanced attack when it came to offense and defense, and Alyssa Thomas was a big factor in that. But when the coaching change came about, you kind of saw how the light left a couple of those players' eyes. It just kind of circling back to Oklahoma. The coaching staff matters. The plan matters. The strategy matters. So Thomas leaving and heading to the Mercury, it shows that she's willing to kind of take a big workload there to help this team because the Mercury didn't show up as much last season, but they can use key players to get them over the hump. So it's going to be interesting to see how that maps out, but I think that more so came from the fact that the Sun just kind of blew up their stability and she was just ready to make a mark elsewhere.
Really, yeah. And it really does feel like Phoenix is trying to make big moves and win now, right? They're like, okay, like we just lost Brittney. Who are we going to get? They're going to get Thomas. I've also heard conversations of Barner coming in there, a player who's a veteran as well. And so you can also see, yes, you want to draft young players and you want to get like that new thing on the market. But from a lot of these WNBA teams, it seems like they're really trying to build a foundational core of
around veterans,
older women, right, who have had experiences, not just are all-stars and have championship rings and all things, but women who have been through it, played on the same organization, known how to lead a team, and you can just see the importance that's really stemming down from the top of these organizations.
I actually think that that's such a crucial point to stick on for a minute because I also think that's why Brittney Griner ended up in Atlanta. I mean, you said it, they weren't particularly that team that you watch, but after the Olympics, they kind of took advantage of having a bit of a winning surge there, and they were really strong when it came to their defensive elements. They were pretty okay when it came to their tempo, but Griner's experience can help make that complete package kind of thing. So the veteran take on a lot of these teams is probably a big approach to watch heading into the upcoming season. I love that you pointed that out.
Definitely. And even head coach Carl Smesko for Atlanta said this revamp, right? He wants to revamp this organization. And so you're pairing that with what Brittney's saying. It's clearly that something new and fun is going to be going on in Atlanta. So I'm super excited to see that. But we have one more big move. This was a multi-team move between the Seattle Storm, Las Vegas Aces, and the Los Angeles Sparks. Kelsey Plum is going from the Aces to the Los Angeles Sparks. Now she'll be with Cameron Brink. So I'm excited to see them play together. Plum is a 2-time WNBA champion in 22 and 23, but she also recently got her jersey hung up at the University of Washington. Go Dogs, from being from Seattle. So here is a quick snapshot of what that experience was like.
Thank you, because everyone's a part of this journey, I didn't up there, but this is really just a testament to the women in the program laid the foundation for me to do what I do. Doing this, you go home today, dream as big as you possibly can, because I promise you, anything is possible. Just a kid from Cali. So, that being said, go Dogs.
Okay, it must not be like fully a Husky because I didn't know that that means like go Dogs. The W that she just threw up. So I grew up in Seattle, but I'm not a Husky through and through. But no, first to start, I loved her purple outfit. I thought that was so awesome. And what a cool moment for her to be celebrated in that way. But really, I am excited to watch her be paired with Cameron Brink. And I thought, oh man, look at this veteran presence with this, younger player. But they have known each other for a little bit. I think they had the same trainer, and Cameron Brink even publicly talked about how Kelsey has really poured into her in the sense of, hey girl, get ready for the WNBA because it's going to be really hard. And one of the things that she did mention to her was get ready, you're about to get beat up, which I thought was so funny because there's a lot of things that veteran players can probably tell you about coming into the league and whatever. And her thing was just straight up, you're about to get beat up, so get ready.
That's not exactly what I think I'd want to hear for my welcome to the league, but you're either going to hear it or you're going to feel it.
Right.
So I guess I'd rather hear it than feel it. But I'm pretty psyched for this move. I'm not going to lie. We felt a move coming for Kelsey Plum. Nothing against her game. Again, I just kind of circle back to the revenge theme, the resurgence theme, and I think there's elements of Plum's game that's going to resurge now being a part of the Sparks. For one, she just kept getting compared to Asia Wilson over at the Aces. And then unfortunately, when you're known to be that leader, when you're known to be that clutch player, your game kind of gets left behind when somebody else is showing up in those clutch moments. And that was Wilson. If Plum put up 6 points in a game, like in game 2 for the finals, then and Wilson can go off in all categories. It just overshadows what you bring to the team. So I think that this is a fresh start for her in terms of say, I'm not washed up. I still have a lot to bring to this, and more importantly to this Sparks team. She's got such a bird's eye view of the game, which is brilliant. So she's going to be able to help them find passing lanes and get more of a consistent offense going, because that was the theme around the Sparks. How do we get a consistent offense going? It was such an emotional roller coaster watching them have these good moments and then followed up by these just what is the identity of this team? So Plum is going to bring an identity to this team, and like you said, with her rejoining someone, having that chemistry, having that leadership quality and structure, it's going to be fun to see what her resurgence looks like. What is the revamp? That's a theme for a lot of these teams and players, but Kelsey Plum's one of those players that really deserves it, and I'm excited for her journey here.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I wonder too if that revamp has anything to do with the creation of the Unrivaled League, right? When you bring something new into the league, it kind of seems like players might be talking to different teammates. They might get different ideas. They might feel certain ways about their own team and recognize, oh, maybe I want this in my organization, or maybe I want this out of my career, kind of like you said with Kelsey. And so I really do wonder, it feels a little bit like a turning point in a sense, or almost like a revamp for the WNBA as a whole, in how players view themselves and their teams and really what they want out of their basketball experience. But to talk about the Unrivaled league, because a lot of these players are playing in it just outside of the trades, has there been anything that you've noticed from these games, their social media? I haven't caught the full games, but I've seen a ton of clips of these games, and man, they are fast. If I was playing in this league right now, I would be out of breath. But I'm not alone. That's what the women who are actually playing in this league said. Kate Martin on the Valkyries, she is on the Laces right now, and she said, you're in every single action, offensively and defensively. You can't really hide out there and take a possession off, which I thought is funny. I'm man, you can't hide. Good luck to you.
Good luck to you. Yeah, no, it's been exciting. I've caught glimmers of it myself, but I think the cool part about it, it goes back to kind of what we talked about top of the show, the compete. And I think the compete just brings a refreshing love to the game, because when you're a veteran in any sort of major or professional sport, you kind of have to keep falling in love. So I think that's what Unrivaled is bringing to the table, that ability to stay in love with your sport, find new elements that just keep you motivated and inspired. And it's a 3-on-3 situation. So when she says you can't hide, no, you can't hide, because you've got to consistently be on top of your game, or else the mistake is yours to be had. 3-on-3 is really exposing. 1-on-1 is even more exposing, and that's kind of dribbled in with Unrivaled as well. So it's the top of the top professional women basketball players. So on top of that, you're going against the best of the best. That's only going to encourage you, and you're compete on top of it. So you're seeing exhaustion, but I think you're seeing a lot of inspiration and excitement, and probably just athletes overall falling back in love with the sport. And what better time than now, as you're gearing up to go back into the WNBA season? You have all these roster changes and stuff. So I think it's an exciting tournament. I think a lot of leagues are starting to incorporate stuff like this because everything's becoming year round. You got to be working on your craft year round. So what better way to do it than in a fun way? But it all comes back to the compete, like you and I have discussed.
And they're getting in shape while they're doing it, right? Like they're
it
also
changes the
having fun.
off-season training.
Definitely.
I'm here for that.
Oh, for sure. But that's a very much so pick-up style basketball with the 3-on-3. But maybe we'll have to start watching that if our intramural league that we join is basketball. We'll have to check that out. But if you're enjoying this show, you can catch new episodes of Respect Your Game every Thursday. You can watch on YouTube, Twitch, and listen on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Well, we have a very fun new segment. It's kind of like our wins of the week that we used to do, but we're going to call it the Girl on Fire because there are a lot of women who are doing awesome things right now in sports and in the realm of athletics. But we just want to highlight one girl who you guys should know. So, Kasey, would you like to kick us off?
Oh my gosh, I'd be so excited to. So I went back and forth because there was a player on the Boston Fleet where I was like, okay, in the last 5 games, her game has just picked up tremendously. Strong two-way player, but I can geek out about hockey all the time with you, right? So right now it was important to highlight Madison Keys. Won her first Grand Slam title down at the Australian Open. Changed her positioning coming up in Austin, Texas. But when you win that first title, you can't go against that, number one. That's probably one of the most memorable moments of your career. But what makes her so on fire in my eyes and why she had to be chosen for this segment is, for one, if you're a tennis fan, which a lot of people are now watching more tennis, you saw her have such great compete in Wimbledon. You saw her start to get pretty far. She got to that 3rd round. Her play overall was just, you knew she was going to have that breakthrough moment coming soon. You started to kind of feel that again because, of course, it fell short at Wimbledon. You saw that again in the U.S. Open. Her name was being talked about so much in tournaments, and her being on the cusp of finally getting that title, and then it finally happened. So like that's why I had to give her so much love for that. But I loved her interview about what it means to win a Grand Slam finally. And I'd love your take on this. As great as it is to finally win a title and, of course, win the money that comes with it and the recognition, she was saying how she was actually able to enjoy it more because at one point of her career, she's 29 years old, at one point of her career, it was like, if I don't win a title now, I'm a failure. She just kept associating these benchmarks with being a failure, and she was never giving herself credit to her game and how she's consistently adjusted her game and how hard that is to do as an athlete, period. So what was really nice is that she mentioned the fact that she went to therapy because she had to learn how to be proud of her career where it was, wherever it went, regardless of a Grand Slam title. So now this is just like the icing on the cake. It's not this burden off of her shoulders. And she said that she feels like she won because she played so freely. And to beat Sabalenka, one of the top females out there right now, who just won her first titles like 2 years ago, I think that be able to enjoy that, to be able to get here without extra pressure on your shoulders, to find a different element to your game, she checked off and won so many different boxes, and then very much deserved her first Grand Slam title. So Madison Keys, congratulations, but that's my gal on fire.
Good.
For sure.
That is. She should be your gal on fire. And I love that you brought up her interview because I think it's so important for her not only to be able to say that for herself and to be able to reflect in that moment, but like think of all the young girls who are tennis players who probably also view I didn't win my championship match as a failure, right? And one of the best things that I ever learned in college and through college sports was like, well, how are you defining success, right? You can take this into all things in your life. Does it have to be that championship game? Yes, that is the goal. But, like, you need to make your definition for success a lot smaller in a sense of, like, the little wins each day. Like you said, like changing her game, working on her craft, because that is how you will achieve your goal. And so I love that she said that because when you're a young girl, you look up to those older women who are playing your sport and you think the world of them, right? And so I think it's good for those young girls to see her be able to admit that, be like, hey, like this isn't everything. Like it's a process and it takes a lot of time.
Did you have a meticulous thing that you resorted to in college or like throughout your athletic career? Like if you didn't feel like you were accomplishing something, did you mentally like go against yourself or what did you do?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I took every rep so seriously, which is I think you have to if you want to be really good and play at the highest level. But I did have to really just like efficacy efficacy, like do it yourself, do the repetitions of all of it. And so I think just practicing perfect reps, whether that was in my own practice or just doing them before practice, after practice, like however you got to get it in, you get the perfect reps in, because you're not going to do them the right way all the time. And so that was a huge thing for me. And then also just like how you define success, right? Like what's a win today? Because you want to leave your training sessions feeling like you got 1% better every single day.
100%. I can totally relate to that. Shifting your mentality is huge, because I used to have such a, I don't want to say punishing, but I was like, if I didn't go all out or feel like I went all out in a game or help my team in a sense, then it was like I had more training to do after a game. And my parents were like, you just played a game. You need to go home, like eat, sit down, do something. So like her being vulnerable and transparent about that, it's like, yeah, we do look up to women who mention that stuff, so that you change your mentality and realize like, hey, you have to celebrate every aspect of your game and every aspect of your career. But who's your girl on fire?
Yeah, well, I got an awesome girl on fire too that just had an incredible accomplishment, a little bit different. Tennessee women's basketball head coach Kim Caldwell will return from coaching just 1 week after giving birth to her son Connor Scott Caldwell. She got a standing ovation from the 12,000 fans in Knoxville before their game against South Carolina, which was a huge game. No wonder she wanted to come back right away. I can imagine that played a factor. She only missed one game leading up to the birth of her son, which is just absolutely insane. But that just shows you her dedication to this program. And I actually thought something was super interesting. She said earlier in the season, someone said, coach, this is a rebuilding year for you. You're new. And she was like, no, like I chose to come here and these players chose to stay and be coached with me. And so I'm going to, I value this as my team. I don't see this as a rebuilding year. But here's what she had to say after the game.
That was quite an ovation and reaction when you walked out. Just what did that mean to you when the way the fans received you after coming back?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting it. I try to sneak in. That's why I sneak in the back. Always try to go unnoticed. But it made it worth it. It made coming back worth it.
Coach, how did you handle the physical demands of tonight?
That's a great question. I'll know probably more when I get home. I appreciate the team. I appreciate my staff. It's hard for me to yell, so I can move around okay, but hard for me to yell. So just having the players repeat things, having my staff repeat things, having them be able to just go up and call some plays when I need to sit. It's big when you have people around you can trust.
Did you hit a wall in there at any time?
No, I didn't. Adrenaline was going. So, again, I'll find out pretty quickly once I get in my car, probably.
I don't know, regardless of the situation, you're playing South Carolina, I don't think you're hitting a wall. So I don't know where that question came from. But just really cool to hear her take on how that game went for her. You can tell that her team really surrounded her. And even Kim Mulkey, the LSU head coach, said that she had sent her a baby gift as like a congratulations. And she shared this story earlier in the week. She said, I remember being young and she was pregnant with her first child. And Coach Pat Summitt, which is like Coach Pat Summitt, said, hey, you can do this, be a coach and be a mother. And I thought that was a really cool story for Kim to share, and not only just in light of Tennessee and their situation, but just to see other college coaches really banding together around this Tennessee program. So here's what Dawn Staley actually had to say after the game.
Women have the strength of 10 men. No doubt about it. I think she's very passionate about her team and coaching here. I think she's got them off to a great start. Very exciting brand of basketball. And when you have a coach that really wants to, hang another banner, it comes as a sacrifice. She's probably a better woman than me. I don't know if I could be detached from my little one for that long, but she's got great help, and she wanted to be here with her team. So, women have to make decisions like that, and when they do, I feel like other women should honor them and let them know that we see you, we feel you, we hear you, and I congratulate her. But it's gonna take a lot of people to have that work-life balance that's needed when you have a newborn child.
I love how she recognized like how hard it was going to be for her and like just like, hey girl, we see you, because that is so important. And you know, it's not like Dawn Staley can be with her the whole way holding her hand and saying, you got this, I've done it too. But it is cool for the other coaches around the league to recognize it and to really pour into her in that way.
100%. I mean, saying something like we see you and hearing it from multiple people, she can stack that support and kind of stand a little bit taller. And I mean, she said it. She doesn't know how she feels quite yet. She might feel it when she gets in the car. She might feel it when she gets home, but the adrenaline, the determination, but more importantly, the support, like the players helping her communicate out there just to be involved in the game. Like you saw everybody band together and it was without question, but more importantly, like from a player standpoint, who doesn't want to play for her? Like 1 week after having a kid. And then Dawn mentioned something very important. The separation from a kid that early, like that could be tough. That can have your mind elsewhere. So for her to be there, to be as present as possible, considering the circumstances of just bringing a life into this world and standing and not being able to yell, like all the adjustments, you get there through support, you get there through confidence, and you get there through passion. So that was a really cool thing to see, and the support all around.
And I haven't had a child, but I did ask my mother. I was like, I'm just curious because I don't actually know like the physical toll that takes on your body after the fact. I was like, you know, hey mom, like when did you feel normal? Like totally normal. Couldn't tell if I had a kid. I don't feel any different. She was like, yeah, like 6 months after I had the kid. So it's going to be a long playoff road for Kim, but truly like so exciting for her family and even the players too. Like I think there's something exciting about knowing that your coach has a child and that like they also have a family outside of basketball, right? It's not just basketball for them. And I think as a college athlete, that's super important to recognize is like, it's not all about me and my team and like what we're doing. Like all these people who are part of this program have lives outside of what we're doing, and that's why you can see the human and not just the athlete.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dawn said it there too, work-life balance, right? What does that look like, or how does it help you realize where you have to establish your work-life balance? So as a college athlete, you're learning how to be present in your classes, stay up to par on your grades and stuff. I know a lot of universities that weren't allowing jobs outside of hand, but now there's different levels to where they accept that and where they don't. But it teaches you that work-life balance is possible. It's just a consistent pursuit. So it might look different to one person one day, but it's the ability that it's there and it can happen and you can find it yourself. But I think the work-life balance is probably a larger motivation there overall. But it's like I haven't had a kid either, but my best friend, she's got 3 under the age of 4. And there's just so many things that play into pregnancy. So if she had a smooth pregnancy, like, yeah, it could be 6 months minimum. If she didn't, it could be 8 months to a year. Like that journey looks so different for everyone. So it's inspiring overall.
It is. New reason to be a Tennessee women's basketball fan. Go Vols. Super exciting. We're cheering Kim Caldwell on and so excited for her and her family. Well, if you're enjoying the show, you can catch new episodes of Respect Her Game every Thursday. You can watch on YouTube, Twitch, and listen on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Well, we got Super Bowl conversation now. It's super exciting. We finally learned who these two teams will be. So, Kasey, what was your initial reaction to this Chiefs-Eagles matchup?
Don't judge me, but it was seriously like not the Chiefs again. I was so emotional watching this because, I mean, you and I just talked about it. It felt like the time for Josh Allen, and I know everybody as sports fans have seen different facets of his game, but where I was supporting him so heavily was like I saw more discipline to his game. We saw less turnovers. We saw less of the things that impacted his team to not get over the hump. So it felt like, okay, finally Buffalo. But that was not the case.
No.
So it just comes back down to the fact that you have a brilliant coaching staff for the Kansas City Chiefs. You have a team that's just so hard to count out. And overall, whether you're excited that the Chiefs have made it yet again, you can be excited to the fact that they're very creative with their wins, their ability to win, and finding a way. I feel like that's been like the theme of all professional sports over the last 5 years. And the Kansas City Chiefs find a way. So now we got the Chiefs, we've got the Eagles, but back to the revenge theme. Like, who doesn't love an opportunity in a moment? You got the Eagles in it. And Jason Kelce said it. He's sticking with the Eagles. Like, that's cool to see Baby Bro playing, but he wants the Eagles to have their moment and to get this done versus the Chiefs. So I'm excited all around for this matchup, or rematch, I should say. Yeah. How did you feel about it?
No, it's pretty wild. And like you said, like, do whatever it takes. And that's really what I thought from the Bills in that game. Like, even with James Cook doing the touchdown, with one hand out, like, I'm like, man, they're going all out. This is a put your body on the line type of game. And so for Bills Mafia more so, I'm so sorry. Okay, like I can't imagine the pain that you are feeling right now. But I also think looking at it, and there's obviously a lot of, oh man, the Chiefs again, but I've loved the takes that are like, hey, this is history unfolding before our eyes. Like they could be doing something that has not been done before. And just even growing up here in Boston and being a part of the Patriots' success in that dynasty, like whether or not you are a Patriots fan, it was so fun to be in that atmosphere and to watch greatness in front of you happen. So I think for that reason, it's exciting for sure. But man, I was really loving this Jaden Daniels, the rookie, taking this Washington Commander team to the Super Bowl. So definitely, good and bad of both the storylines. But yeah, I feel for these Buffalo Bills.
Oh my gosh. Did you see the rip from earlier, Judd saying that the Buffalo Sabres 7 goals last night was the touchdown the Buffalo Bills needed?
Oh man.
I read that 15,000 times because I was just like, oof, it's so true, but it's so painful. But we saw Josh Allen's fiance come out and say she's so proud of him. Again, like you saw a bit of a different player this season, so I was psyched for that. But with some of the best storylines now behind us as we go into Super Bowl, I think we just have different facets to look at. So are you leaning in one direction yet or not? Like, do you have a team that you feel like?
Honestly, I think at this point I want the Chiefs to go all the way. I'm like, you know what? If we're gonna do it, let's make history. Let's go all the way. I am a little upset with Travis Kelce because on last week's Respecter game, I said he was going to sing Fight for Your Right to Party, and he did his new thing with Do a Little Dance, that song at the championship podium. So, Travis, we got to have a little talk here because you didn't do my song request.
I know, and it fits so perfectly because look, it's not like it was a polished performance by any means. They had to fight for their right to have that win and stamp their ticket back to the Super Bowl. So, was disappointed for that. I felt that pain too, though, because the song, of course, stuck in my head that I had for Josh Allen, "Can't Stop" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was like, no, he was stopped. This song is now going to go somewhere else for a very, very, very long time. But I don't know if I can root for the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. I'm cool. I'm psyched for Patrick Mahomes. I'm psyched for what this will mean. I'm psyched for the dynasty conversation. But for some reason, I can't.
You're riding on Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Like, who doesn't want to see him just completely have a cape on his shoulders and go to town on this team? Like, show them, like, hey, you've got great defensive minds. You've got the right tools. You've got the right players to stop me. But you actually can't stop me. That's the moment that I want to see in the Super Bowl.
You actually can't stop me. I love that. Well, maybe we'll do a new Super Bowl song request.
Walkout theme
for this coming up. But I like that. Now we have a little thing we can be texting each other about back and forth with the game. Well, another huge conversation with the Super Bowl is the halftime show, obviously. Yeah. So I'm super excited. It's going to be Kendrick Lamar this year. Kendrick made an appearance in 2022 with a few other performers. I think Snoop Dogg was there, maybe Eminem.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg seems to just be popping up everywhere. So
owns everything,
bowl game, you name it. Like, I don't know what's next. Maybe he's gonna, I don't know. We'll see. And SZA is his special guest, I believe. I'm hoping that we're gonna get like one of those secret guests that just pops up. I don't know if you have any inklings on who that could potentially be. If he's gonna bring someone. I always like a good surprise, so we'll see.
I like a good surprise, but I think we've started to see some rumblings of what people would actually want in terms of a surprise performer to hop in the mix here. Everyone was wondering, like, how do you surpass last year's? But Kendrick Lamar is very artistic as well. I think Usher just had so much because he has such a span of a career that he was able to compact into that halftime show. But I think Kendrick Lamar can make it just as special. But who do you think his surprise guest could or would be?
I don't know. I think it's got to be a girl of some sort. I could see him bring on a girl, maybe, and I don't know if this is saying, some people are saying Taylor Swift. Okay, it's not me. It's some other people are saying Taylor Swift because of their feature together with Bad Blood. This photo was tweeted, and basically people are saying, oh, Taylor's holding up a Super Bowl chain. That means that it's a sign that she's going to be performing at the Super Bowl. I'm like, all right, Kasey. She's just going to the Super Bowl to support her boyfriend. I don't think this means that she's going to be performing at the Super Bowl. But how cool would Bad Blood and Kendrick Lamar be? Perform live?
I think it would be so sick to see. But when we were talking about it ahead of the show, the only thing that popped into my mind, and Ethan, our producer, mentioned, like, yeah, they could probably quickly have her from, like, the suite or whatever, like, chime in. But he was like, what if the Chiefs are tanking? And then all of a sudden, like, now Taylor has this moment that she has to be present for. But outside of that, what I initially thought of if Taylor Swift came into the mix of this is the song Bad Blood, like, let's just dissect that for a second. What it's talking about, how it gets you hype, how it gasses you up. It really leans more favorably to like what the Eagles are trying to accomplish in this Super Bowl.
Yes,
so,
you're
like,
right.
I feel like it'd be too much pressure for her. Great song. It would be so sick to see them together. But like overall, Bad Blood would just be such an energizer for the Eagles. Like in my brain, hands down. So like then what? Then she's on Team Jason Kelsey, which I don't mind either. Like sometimes you got to do that. Keep your boyfriend on his toes.
Keep it within the family, kind of, right? And I do think though, like her coming out for one song, like I just don't see Taylor doing that. I don't see Taylor being like, oh yeah, I'll come out for one song. Like if Taylor is going to involve herself in anything Super Bowl halftime, it's going to be like Super Bowl halftime and that. Like it's going to be an extra show on top of that. Like I can't even imagine what it would be. So I think that tweet was hilarious. I think it's fun for Swifties to drum up that commotion, but I think we need to shut it down because I don't know, maybe she will be a surprise guest.
I know. But something else I thought of too is like when all of the commotion started going on about her potentially making an appearance last year and then getting over from Tokyo or Japan, wherever she was, she really doesn't want to make this moment about herself. Like she has said how she wants this to be all about Travis, all about his team, all about his teammates. And like if she agrees to one thing, the domino effect is this is the Swiftie Bowl all over again. And she tried everything possible to kind of like keep that at bay. So I think that's the other reason why we might not see that anytime soon. She wants this to be her man's moment, and I support that.
Definitely. I love that. I love that content too because I think it's so important because she has such a big following and like anything she does is going to get blown up. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to make that a secret.
Right.
Like, you should tell no one if she was going to even do a guest appearance, right?
Nope.
Performing.
Even security couldn't know.
No,
Something
security
would
couldn't know
happen.
because you know it would get out immediately. And I just think that that's such a good point because she does want to, protect that relationship part of her and letting it kind of be for Travis in that sense, even though I know he would probably run out of the locker room being like, let's go.
Right? He would totally
amazing.
be in the tunnel singing the songs and going with it.
He would have the whole team out with him doing that as well.
They'd have to be so far ahead. Like if they were commanding that entire game and then she was just like, all right, let me come out of the suite really fast. Yeah, then they can make that their moment. But I think we agree on the fact that let it be Kendrick Lamar, let it be SZA, like let them just keep it at what it's at. And like he's going to involve the graphics. I think we're going to see like a combination of what The Weeknd did and what Usher did for Kendrick's stuff. So it's still going to be good.
It's going to be good. I'm so excited for it. Well, we got a fun halftime show hopefully coming up. A lot of women's basketball, so don't miss LSU and Oklahoma. Thanks for watching another show of Respect Her Game. I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck Kasey Hudson. Have a great day.